Let me be clear from the start. This is not a video about judgment. This is about perception. And as a man walking the Stoic path, your survival doesn't depend on charm. It depends on clarity. We live in a culture that encourages men to shut up and accept what they're given, to be silent, to not ask questions, to not notice patterns, to not trust their gut. You're told if you ask about her past, you're insecure. If you avoid her past, you're naive. But what no one tells you is this: if you ignore the patterns in front of you, you'll spend years building a future on a foundation that was never real. Stoic philosophy teaches that a man's peace depends on his discernment, not control, not manipulation, but awareness. This video is for men who want to live in truth, men who want to build with wisdom, men who would rather walk alone in clarity than stay with someone in confusion. Because here's the reality most won't say out loud: a woman who's experienced too many shallow connections won't always tell you directly. She'll speak in phrases that sound harmless, even intelligent phrases designed to sound modern, liberated, or independent. But underneath those words is a map of her emotional past, how she views connection, how she's wired to bond, how much of her vulnerability is still intact. And if you don't know what to listen for, you'll think you've found a rare connection, when in truth, you've inherited the emotional remains of everything that came before you. This video is not about labeling or controlling women. It's about protecting your mental clarity, so you never invest deeply in someone who's already told you who they are. You just weren't trained to hear it. These phrases are not obvious. They're often said with a smile. But for the man with wisdom, they're red flags dressed in reassurance. Let's begin. 1. Why does my past even matter? This is the phrase that starts softly, but ends with your standards being dismantled. She's not asking for understanding. She's asking you to disregard the one thing that protects your peace, your discernment. She frames the question like it's rooted in maturity, like your curiosity is petty, like asking about her past is a weakness, when in reality it's wisdom. But here's what a Stoic man sees beneath the question. Her past is not just a list of experiences, it's a pattern of emotional attachments, of boundaries crossed, of decisions made when no one was watching. It tells you how she connects, or whether she still can. When she says, "Why does my past even matter?" she's not freeing herself, she's silencing you. She wants love without legacy, commitment without context, devotion without discernment. But here's the Stoic truth: the past always matters, not because you judge her, but because you must protect you. Every man she let in left something behind, and if it happened enough times, those pieces don't vanish, they calcify. She may still smile, she may still flirt, but emotional intimacy has become mechanical. She doesn't bond deeply anymore, she performs closeness. So no, you're not wrong for caring, you're not toxic for asking, you're not insecure for noticing something's off. You're just aware. A Stoic man listens not just to what is said, but to what is defended. And when a woman fights to erase her own history from your line of sight, it's not humility, it's strategy. Don't hate her, but don't lie to yourself either. Peace is never built on denial, it's built on discernment. 2. If men can do it, women can too. On the surface, this sounds like balance, fairness, equality. But beneath the surface, it's not about equality at all. It's about erasing consequence. When she says this, she's not trying to mirror your behavior. She's trying to neutralize hers. She wants to rewrite emotional biology with cultural logic. She wants to use your actions as a shield for hers. But Stoic men don't judge based on gender. We observe based on reality. And here's the reality: when a man and woman both engage in the same behavior, it does not always produce the same effect. Not emotionally, not psychologically, not spiritually. Because the human mind, especially the feminine mind, connects through feeling, it bonds through presence. It stores memory differently. Every connection she forms, whether she admits it or not, imprints on her. That's not morality, that's neuroscience. So when she says, if men can do it, women can too, what she's really saying is, I've learned to numb what once meant something to me, and I want you to see that as strength. But a Stoic man knows true strength isn't in detachment, it's in discernment, knowing what brings peace and what quietly destroys it. If she's detached from her own experiences, if she's lived deeply, but felt nothing. If she's offering herself to you while dismissing her past, that's not empowerment. That's fragmentation. It's not about judgment, it's about consequence. Because when the ability to bond has been dulled through repetition, what's left isn't intimacy, it's performance. The Stoic man doesn't need obedience, he doesn't need virtue signaling, he needs truth, and truth doesn't care about double standards. It cares about patterns, and patterns don't lie. So don't get caught in debates about who can do what. Ask instead, what does it cost the soul to do it? 3. I just like my freedom. On the surface, this sounds noble, independent, empowered. It's the kind of phrase that earns applause in today's world. But to a Stoic man, it raises a question. Freedom from what? Exactly. Because when this phrase is spoken at the start of a relationship, or right when commitment enters the conversation, it's rarely about true independence. It's about resistance. What she's really saying isn't, I'm whole on my own. It's I don't want to be held to anything real, while still receiving everything emotional. She doesn't want control, fair, but she also doesn't want responsibility. And that's where the imbalance begins. The Stoic man sees the pattern clearly. This isn't a declaration of strength. It's a subtle shield, a way to say, I want the security of your consistency, but the freedom to act like I'm single. It's not toxic, it's not malicious, but it is calculated. Because a woman who has tasted the highs of attention, who has felt the pull of constant options, will protect her freedom like currency. But here's the Stoic truth. Real freedom is not the absence of commitment. It's the ability to choose commitment with clarity, without fear, without game, without exit plans. When she says she values her freedom, ask yourself, has she healed from the past, or is she still keeping doors open, just in case something better walks through? A woman who is truly free will not fear being seen. She will not fear being chosen, nor choosing you back. But a woman who clings to the idea of freedom, while already enjoying your loyalty, isn't protecting her space, she's protecting her options. And a Stoic man doesn't exist as one of many. He moves with purpose, he offers depth, and he expects it returned. Because the man who walks in peace will never settle for a woman who walks in escape. 4. That stuff doesn't really mean much to me. She says it casually, like she's above it, like emotional connection is childish, and she's evolved past it. But to the Stoic man, this phrase isn't maturity, it's malfunction. Because intimacy, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, is not something a healthy soul detaches from, not unless it's been through repeated disconnection. This phrase isn't spoken from strength, it's whispered from exhaustion. What she's really saying is, I've had to disconnect so many times, I no longer feel what I used to. She's not proud, she's numb, and numbness isn't peace, it's protection. You see, every time she gave herself to someone who gave nothing back, every time she poured emotion into a moment that ended in silence, her nervous system adjusted, her body stopped responding, her heart stopped opening, not because she's cold, but because opening hurts now. So when she says, it doesn't mean much to me, she's not warning you, she's coping in front of you. She's trying to sound in control of a wound she never healed. But the Stoic man doesn't take that lightly. He doesn't rush in to fix. He doesn't judge. He simply observes. Because when someone treats something sacred as disposable, it means they've lost touch with what it's supposed to feel like. And that's not someone you build with. That's someone you pray heals, but from a distance. To a Stoic man, connection is never casual. It's quiet, present, rare. And if she's spent so much time ignoring her heart that she can no longer access it, you're not walking into love, you're walking into emptiness that smiles. Not every woman who appears calm is healed. Some are just emotionally shut off, and no amount of effort will reopen a heart that's made numbness its home. 5. I don't regret anything. I learned from all of it. On the surface it sounds wise, reflective, even evolved, but to the Stoic man this phrase deserves scrutiny. Because not all lessons are real, and not all growth is honest. When a woman says this, what she often means is, I've rebranded my mistakes so I don't have to feel them. She's not reflecting, she's reframing, and sometimes she's rewriting a reckless past as a spiritual journey. But here's the Stoic truth. Real wisdom doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from doing a few things, deeply and learning when enough was enough. A woman who's been through dozens of shallow experiences, hookups disguised as healing, temporary highs painted as freedom, doesn't just carry stories, she carries fragmentation. Yet instead of sitting with the weight of those choices, she dresses them up in growth speak. Every man was a lesson. Every heartbreak made me stronger. Every experience shaped me. No regret, no remorse, just poetic justification. But the Stoic man knows, you don't have to regret your past to grow from it. But if you never felt the consequences, you probably never changed. Because true evolution isn't loud, it's humble, it's quiet, and it doesn't need to advertise itself. So when she proudly says, I don't regret anything, ask yourself, is this self-awareness, or is it survival rebranded as self-love? Because the woman who turns chaos into a clever caption is still living in it. And a Stoic man does not build his future with someone still defending their past. 6. Everyone has a past, but not everyone hides behind it. This phrase is not an invitation for understanding, it's a test of your boundaries. When a woman says, everyone has a past, she's not trying to connect, she's trying to disarm you. What she's really saying is, will you look away? Will you ignore the red flags? Will you accept what the others wouldn't? It's not about equality, it's about compliance. She wants you to treat her history like a sealed chapter, even if she hasn't closed the book. But the Stoic man doesn't judge. He investigates. Not to shame, but to understand what he's being asked to invest in. Because her past isn't just about who she used to be. It tells you what she values, what she tolerates, and what she brings forward into every new connection. A woman who says, everyone has a past, and yet refuses to own hers, isn't being vulnerable. She's being strategic. She's gambling on your silence, hoping your desire will overpower your discipline. But here's the Stoic truth. Understanding someone's past isn't about control, it's about context. Context for the walls she's built, the wounds she hasn't acknowledged, the emotional chaos you may be walking into without a warning label. So don't let her use, everyone has a past, to make you question your standards. A Stoic man doesn't need a woman with a perfect record. He needs a woman with a clear conscience, not one who hides her past behind clever phrases, but one who's made peace with it, processed it, and no longer leads from it. Because you're not judging her for what happened, you're measuring whether she's healed or just hiding. 7. I was just going through a phase. This phrase always comes after the damage is done, after the chaos, after the detachment, after the trail of connections that meant nothing. And now she wants everything. I was just going through a phase. Is how she shrinks the weight of her past into something dismissible, like it was a season, like it was temporary, like it doesn't follow her into the present. But to a Stoic man, this isn't just a phrase, it's a mask. Because a phase doesn't leave emotional scar tissue. A phase doesn't shut down your nervous system. A phase doesn't numb you to real love. This wasn't a phase, it was a pattern. What she's really saying is, I was indulging in short-term pleasure while calling it self-discovery. And now that the consequences are showing, I want a clean slate without the cleanup. You see, when she was in that phase, she wasn't thinking about alignment. She wasn't thinking about future connection. She wasn't thinking about the man she would eventually want to build with. She was thinking about the moment, the thrill, the freedom. But the Stoic man understands this fundamental truth. Unfiltered freedom always has a price. And when that price comes due, the same people who cashed in on chaos want you to offer calm. They want a relationship now, but not one built on shared values. One built on your ability to overlook, to overgive, to overcommit, while they simply reset. But the Stoic man doesn't fall for rebrands. He looks at actions, not apologies. He studies patterns, not poetry. So when she says it was just a phase, listen to what's behind it. I want you to believe I'm someone new, without asking who I had to become to survive the old. A Stoic man doesn't reject her for having a past. He walks away if that past is still leading her. Because love doesn't start with who she says she is. It starts with who she's consistently been. And if her story keeps rewriting itself every time peace becomes the goal, she's not evolving, she's evading. 8. I don't get attached easily. At first, this sounds appealing. like emotional self-control, like stability, like she's mastered the art of love without chaos. But to the Stoic man, this phrase doesn't signal strength, it signals shutdown. What she's really saying is, I've been through so many emotional dead ends that I no longer expect connection to mean anything. She's not above attachment, she's beneath it, buried under years of repetition, betrayal, and emotional overstimulation. She used to feel deeply, but over time the emotions dulled, the bond faded, and now closeness feels like a performance. This isn't healing, it's hardening. You see, real feminine energy is connective. It flows, it opens, it receives. But when that energy has been misused, overexposed, or handed to too many men who didn't value it, it shuts down for survival. So when she says, I don't get attached easily, it's not a badge of honor, it's a warning. A Stoic man doesn't mistake that numbness for wisdom. He sees it for what it is, emotional burnout. And here's what most men miss: you can't build a future with someone who's not capable of presence, someone who doesn't connect deeply, someone who's learned to feel nothing as a form of strength, because she might give you her time, her attention, even her body, but you will never reach her soul. And the worst part, you'll start blaming yourself. You'll think you're not doing enough, that maybe you just need to prove your worth, but it's not you. She simply has nothing left to give. A Stoic man recognizes that silence in her eyes. He doesn't chase it, he doesn't fight it, he honors it, and walks. Because you can't build real connection with someone who calls detachment a virtue. True peace requires vulnerability, presence, and the courage to feel. Without that, you're not in a relationship, you're in an echo chamber, with someone who's mastered the art of staying close, without ever being reached. You've made it this far. That means you're not like most men. Most men ignore the signs. They hear the phrases, they feel something's off, but they silence their instincts in the name of love, or fear, or loneliness. But the Stoic man doesn't move from emotion, he moves from awareness, because the goal was never to judge her. The goal was to stop abandoning yourself. If her words sound normal, but her actions feel hollow, listen deeper, because truth doesn't always arrive with alarms. Sometimes it comes gently, in 8 quiet phrases you were never taught to question, but now you know. So if this message hit you, if you feel yourself waking up, drop a comment below. I choose clarity. Let that be your signal, your standard, your vow to never lower your peace to earn a place in someone else's storm. And if you want more truth, delivered with strength, silence, and Stoic presence, subscribe to Stoic Thinkers. Until the next video, remain anchored, remain powerful, remain unmoved.